is the horn that was used to make rings, horseshoes, or whatever. This is not a farrier's anvil, though. This is not a horseshoe anvil. This is a blacksmith anvil. But anyway, farrier's anvil has a much bigger horn to do draft shoes. This is the cutting table. This is the table. This square hole is the hardy hole. The round hole is the Pritchell hole. There are over 1,000 tools that fit that square hole. This is the heel. This is the throat. And these are the feet. Yeah, that is how all the anvils are put together. All your real good anvils are forged, not cast. Matter of fact, there hasn't been an anvil made that will do what you're about to hear be done here since 1954. Because for an anvil to chime like a bell, not ring, but chime, it must first be forged beneath a 5,000 to 50,000 pound drop hammer. And all anvils today are foundry casted with the exceptions of one, which is Peddinghaus in Germany. And they call it drop forged, but technically the bottom half is, but the top half is hydraulically pressed, so the steel will not chime. But where they playing the anvil or making the anvil sing actually came from was the oldest unwritten language upon earth, which goes back several thousands of years. And the reason that that language was first designed was because that in a shop with 5 or 6 men hammering, it was all but impossible to hear and understand an audible human voice. So they learned that if they put their words into a tapped out, coded, rhythmatic message upon the anvil, then nobody had to bother to listen to that voice. And since they was already having to listen to that hammer anyway, then why not let that be the part that gave them all the directions? So then long up in the 17th century, 1768, 1769, when Morse code was invented and the telegraph came along, then it took upon itself the name of the blacksmith's Morse code. And just as Morse code was dits and dots, the blacksmith's was tapped and dragged upon the anvil. Each one of them meant a different thing, just like the code. Each group of them put together meant a different thing, just like the code. And even though created thousands of years before it, they did bear a great deal of resemblance. But then, for wherever that work was intended to be done upon that piece of metal, that was where that ancient language was tapped out upon the anvil between the master smith and his strikers. Because this represented the back of the metal, quarter away, half, 3/4, and finally the end. So that meant that the heated surface of metal to which you was hammering on was only this long. It automatically became this long. If it was this long, it still became this long. This was the gauge to it all. But 1908, 1910, that was when the entire world woke up that day and realized that the anvil was no longer just a tool. And that day the anvil was thus adopted into the percussion musical instrument category. And then you had the anvil choruses, which were made up to 50 anvils, all keyed differently, all played for music, all in their respective place, and sounded as beautiful, excuse me, as the Leroy Abernathy Choir. Every major orchestra, every major band, every symphony had an anvil or multiple anvils therein. Play one. Sounds a lot like wind chimes, bells, hammer dulcimer, xylophone, handbells. First pair of handbells ever to have been played was cut from pieces of an old English handbell. My left hand represents the striker's hammer. My right hand represents the master. used to be one of my apprentices, got married back in the spring, so I played the anvil for his wedding. You can play anything on an anvil, but you can a piano, providing it is a good piano. And providing it is a good anvil. And without one single fear of telling you wrong, I can truthfully and honestly tell you, without a doubt, this is the first and original heavy metal music ever played. Not very good for a marching band, but it is a good instrument.